We're continuing the Sikha this week from Tavshin and Aleph, Parshas Emor. The Rebbe discusses the Aleph in the word Geula. Where are we holding? We're holding in Seif Dalet, the middle of Seif Dalet, on page 524. 524 in the Sikha. We're holding in the first column of page 524 at the last paragraph. Yeah, Hecherinyan, exactly. So let's just quickly review the points that we learned last week. The Rebbe explained, speaking about the Aleph in the word Geula, the word Aleph has in it three different understandings, three different meanings. One shot of the Aleph is, Aleph stands for Alufish Alaylam. Davish is the master of the universe, which is really what we're learning about in Tanya Mamish now these days. We're learning in Tanya Sharichit V'Amunah about the Shem Adnai, that Hashem is the master. He's the master of the universe. That's one pshat in Aleph. A deeper pshat in Aleph is, Aleph stands for Aleph Chochma, Aleph Chabina. I will teach you. I will teach you Chochma and Bina. Meaning it's not something that you could readily see when you look in the world, but you have to go deeper. You have to dig deeper, probe, and you'll come and see a deeper connection to Hashem. And the third pshat is, Aleph is the same letters as Pella. Pella is a wonder. Pella is something which is astounding, unusual, completely out of this world. So the Rebbe explained, when Mashiach comes, the first and most basic thing that will happen is that we'll all of a sudden have open eyes and we'll see who's the balabas in this world. Who's the master of what's going on over here? Like when Avram Avinu said, Yesh balabayis lebirazu. There has to be a boss to what's going on in this world. Things are not happening on their own. That's not any great recognition. The Pashto is very simply here in this world to see the Hashgacha Pratis and to see the Eibishter's interaction in everything that goes on in the world. That's the first Aleph that's revealed in the Goyla. And the last thing we learned was that Rebbe used the Lashon that we say in Rosh Hashanah and Davening, V'yeda kol pol ki ata palte. Every created being will know who is his creator. Then the Rebbe continues on a higher level. Let's continue inside where we're holding. You got it? Now there's a higher level here. In the Gilya, Aleph is revealing the Aleph in the world. So the higher level is as follows. Aleph means to study and to research, to investigate deeper. Aleph chachachma, Aleph chabina. Like the expression of chachma and bina, a person has to use the koyach of chachma and bina to see a deeper aspect of Hashem's connection to the world. The level of godliness that's revealed when Mashiach comes will be neisav to bechinas alakos in the bria. In addition to the level of godliness that is limited and enters into creation, which is alufish alaylam, koyach hapayil benifal. Another expression, the fact that the Eibishter is a payil, like a craftsman that makes a piece of furniture, and the piece of furniture, every detail of how it's cut and how it's shaped is all the work of the craftsman. So the Eibishter also has his engagement and his interaction in the existence of the world. But there's even more than this. The level of godliness will be much higher than what there is in this world. This is the Aleph which connects to the level of Meichin, which is Chachma and Bina, was is Heche for the Midis from Velachas Nemtzach Olam Chesed Yibana. So this is actually something, if you remember this from your Bar Mitzvah Maimah. So what does it say there? The world is created in 6 days. So it doesn't say in the Pasig, B'Sheishes Yomim. It says Sheishes Yomim Asavai. What are the Sheishes Yomim? The 6 Midis. Eibishter creates the world with his 6 Midis. Why? Why Midis, Dafka? What's the connection of Midis to creation? Because just like in a person, the emotions are reactions to things that are going on outside of him. Moichin, a person that's intellectual and a person that's just studying the subject, he's not influenced at all. If you're really about Moichin, if you're really looking at something honestly, so this doesn't make a difference what you subjectively feel or what your agenda or interest about it is. You're looking at a subject objectively for the truth of the matter. What's Midis? Midis is the exact opposite. How does this relate to me? What does this mean to me? How do I react to this? What is my emotional attachment to this? The whole meaning of Midis is person coming down and relating to things outside of him, and a person has a certain connection to things. Same thing also by the Eibishter. What's Midas? Midas is that level of Elokus that comes down to connect, to create. Moichen, on the other hand, just like by a person that's a Baal Moichen. You see someone that's a Baal Moichen, he's not interested necessarily in talking to anybody. He's to himself. He's thinking. He's thinking to himself. He's a philosopher. He sits alone and he's removed. He's not interested in anyone's feelings. He's not even interested in his own feelings. He just wants to try to research and understand the truth of the matter. That's Moichen. So therefore, over here, when we speak about this higher level of Gilui Elokus, what is this? The level of Moichen. This is what is revealed through Torah. After Mashiach comes, there's a deeper aspect of Torah that's revealed in the world. Torah is before the world. 2,000 years before the world is created, you have Torah. 2,000 years does not mean in the literal sense, because before the world was created, there was no time. Alpayim Shana means that it's levels way above the existence of the world. Alpayim, and that level, that lashon of Alpayim that Chazal say, Oich miloshin alef chachachma alef chabina, it also refers to this idea that Torah comes from the Eibishter's Moichen that's above the midas of the Eibishter. That is the union of Torah. So this is the higher level of revelation that happens when Mashiach comes through Torah. But then there's something even more than this. And then in the Aleph. Then we come to the highest level that's revealed in the Aleph when Mashiach comes, which is Oisius Pella, the wonder. The wonder of the Eibishter himself that's revealed in the world. Gilui and the flies in the Gulek, Meshukasa, Kimitzeischa, Meretz Mitzrayim, Aran and the flies. What is the meaning of the flies in this pasuk? The flies, Afilu be'erech, the flies, Begulus Mitzrayim. The wonders that happen when Mashiach comes, if you'll compare it to the wonders that happened when we left Mitzrayim, it'll still be a wonder, even though it once happened before. But it'll be that much greater that it'll be a wonder, comparatively speaking, to the wonders that happened when we left Mitzrayim. Now, these neflayos are also revealed in Torah. The wonders in Torah. To see the Eibishter's wonders in Torah. This is revealing the pnimius of Torah, the secrets and the hidden things in Torah. These are things in Torah that are completely concealed and covered from us, not because it's a secret that hasn't been told to us yet, but because it's too high for us to even to be a keli to accept this. Concept of a pella, of a secret when it comes to Torah is because it's not shayach to Gilui. The world is not a keli to handle this. When Mashiach comes, it's going to be revealed. How will this be revealed? So the first point is that it's going to be revealed to the extent that it'll be necessary for you to study, to get it. You're going to have to make an effort to get it. But then it's going to be revealed to a further extent. This revelation comes down in this world to such an extent that before you turn the page, one second. But then this revelation comes down to the extent that it's going to be easy. It's going to be obvious. There's one thing when there's a revelation that you have to work hard to find it. You still have to work hard to discover it. When it comes down and it's here in this world with such a pshitus, it's going to be so open and obvious. That's the real revelation. There's an interesting Ha'ara 64, where the Rebbe adds another point, another thing that you see hinted in the Aleph. Very interesting thing here. Aleph is actually the letters of Eiffel, which means absolute darkness. The word Eiffel doesn't still mean darkness. It's like it says by Makkah's Choshech, there's Choshech, which is darkness, and there's Choshech HaFeila, thick darkness, like it was by the Makkah, that it's like it's so thick that you could touch it with your hands. So what does this mean? Aleph is the Choshech, is darkness, and thick darkness. So the Rebbe brings there from a Maimer that this refers to what it says in the pasuk, Yoshas Choshech Sisroi, that the Eibishter, which is so high and concealed, for us is darkness. It's a level that's higher than any expression, any revelation. Any level of revelation is not darkness. It reveals, it says something, it has a teichen, it is something that it says, it reveals. Choshech is when you go back to the source before there's any Gilui, the Eibishter himself. So for the outsider, it's darkness. There's no revelation at all. So that's yet another pshat to the concept of Aleph. It seems like, the Rebbe doesn't bring this inside the Sikha, but it seems like this Eiffel of the Ha'ara is even higher than Pella, even higher than something that's a wonder. You know, when you tell someone about something, not too late, you can join us if you want. Didn't have might have yet.
Every Saturday night.
So, when it comes to the concept of a pella, when does a person express wonder about something? When you tell someone something, and he doesn't like fully get it, but he's like, it sounds like a wondrous idea. It sounds like a fantastic, wondrous idea. Something that you don't even chapsich b'chlal, that it's a wonder. It's like so far out of your world that when someone tells this to you, it's just like total darkness. You can't accept it. It's you can't even see the amazement that there is in this. So that's even higher. So the Eiffel, the Choshech that there is by the Eibusha that's higher than any revelation is higher than the Pele even. So it's a fourth level here that the Rebbe brings in Order 64.
The third level we didn't talk about yet?
No, in the Sikha again, in the Sikha there's three levels, right? Remember the three levels? Yeah. Aleph is the Alufei Shalaylam, and then the Aleph is the Ulpana, the learning that you have to study and look deeper, and then the Aleph is the Pele. The Order that Rebbe says a fourth level, that the Aleph is Eiffel. It's the darkness that comes from a place that's even higher than any revelation. Pella, soft, Pella is something, if you see the amazement of it, that means that it has epis or shaykhis to revelation. Otherwise, there's no shaykhis b'chlal. Okay, let's continue. Next page.
But that's what's coming down after Mashiach in a way that's going to be, that you're going to see it without study.
Correct. That's the whole chiddush here. You might think that each
deep.
Level will come down just like one level. The level of Pella. The level of Pella will come down maybe to the second level of the Aleph, which is the level of Ulfana. But the Rebbe says, no. The level of Pella will be revealed in the world, even to the extent in the world mamish, without even having to study it.
Effort.
You'll open up your eyes, no effort. You'll see right away the Pella of the Eibishter in the world. So to explain this in the Lashon that it says in Chassidus, what are the levels that we're speaking about over here? In the Sfiris Lamaila. What are the levels of the Sfiris that we're speaking about? Okay, so you ready? For those that want to know what Sfiris we're speaking about. Aleph, so the first level is Alufish Alaylam. The level of the Aleph, the fact that Eibush is a master of this universe, is Keneget Sfiris HaMalchus. That corresponds to the Sfira of Malchus, which is Gilim Malchus is Barach Bailam, revealing the Eibush's kingdom in the world, Echad. The fact that Eibush is Echad, which is also connected to the Aleph. The Rebbe says, not sure what in Order 66. Take a look in Order 66. Shazer Gematria Shel Aleph. I'm not exactly sure what that means. How is Echad the Gematria of Aleph? Maybe it's supposed to be that this is the Rosh Tevis of Aleph, is the Rosh Tevis of Echad. And Aleph is not, Aleph Lamed Fei is not the same Gematria as Aleph Ches Dalet, right? So anyone has any idea what Order 66 means?
Aleph or Shel Echad?
Shazer Gematria Shel Echad.
What's Malchus? No.
Not sure. Okay, interesting. I'm like,
Well, the gematria of is 101, no? Aleph.
okay, Aleph, yeah.
1 and
No,
Echad.
it's 111.
111.
Yeah.
And
Echad is 13. Yeah. Okay, whatever the pshat may be. Am lichte, back into the lashon of the Sikha. Am lichte lemaila ulamata ula'arbaruchas. This is the lashon that's brought in Gemara. When you say Shema and you say the word Echad, the kavana is that the Eibishter is king above, below, and on all four sides of the world. That's the Echad. B'chlal is Yaiser. So even though this refers to the Aleph, which is Malchus, we just learned in Tanya, in Shayichid V'Amunah, the Alter Rebbe explains that creation comes from Malchus. The way we exist today, isn't it today's Tanya actually? The way we exist today, that the world exists and senses itself to be a yesh, a dov, a nifra, that we're here, we're independent. Where does this independence come from? If Hashem creates us, so every moment we should feel and sense the presence of Hashem within us, that's sustaining us, that's creating us. Elamai, there's a koyach of Malchus. What's the koyach of Malchus? Ein melech b'lo. And Am means that there's a nation that's separated from the king. That's the koyach of Malchus. Okay, so that's the lowest level of the Eibishter coming down. The Eibishter coming down and interacting and relating to us here in this world. More generally speaking, Inyan HaMidus. It includes not only the Melucha of the Eibishter, but also all the Midus. Vasmazei is the Makar and Hagasailam. From the Midus, this is the source of the Eibishter conducting all matters in this world. As I mentioned before, the Inyan of Midus is the Eibishter's relation to the outside. Beis, the second level. Olfane v'limud. The Aleph, which is to study, to learn, Aleph Chachma, Aleph Bina, is Pchinas HaMoichin, Chachma of Bina. This refers to the level of Moichin, the level of Chachma of Bina. Moichin Hashayachim Lemidis. But what level of Moichin does this refer to? The level of Moichin that's related to Midis. That to the dargis in Moichin. Just like it is by a human being. Sometimes you have a certain understanding about something, and it doesn't lead to it doesn't touch you personally. You can understand something perfectly, but it's out of your mitzias. It doesn't. You don't bring it back to yourself. It doesn't come down to affect your mitzias. It's adarabah. What happens is sometimes in Meichin, it sort of takes you away in a trance. It takes you away from your mitzias of who you are. If you're really a person that's an emes of Bal Meichin, and we're talking here especially about Meichin and Teira and so on, the Teira that you learn, it removes you from your mitzias. That's one level of Meichin. But then there's another level of Meichin. Our midis, as the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, are very much influenced, and not only influenced, but the Meichin is a father and a mother. It's the father and the mother that give birth to the feelings that we have. Where do our feelings come from? So most of the feelings come from the things, the awareness we have, the understanding we have. That's the Meichin Hashayach Lemidis. So the level of Chachma and Bina we're speaking about over here is the lower darga of Meichin that relates to Midis. But this is L'mayla Ma'ilam. This is a level of Meichin that's above the Metzias of the world. Aber fort the aschale u'makar feilam. But it's still a source in the beginning of the world. The Meichin leads to Midis, the Midis leads to Malchus, and the Malchus is the source of creation. So this level of Meichin is a source for creation. Gimel, in the highest level, which is Pele, is beginnes Meichin Chachma mitzadatzma. Etzema Meichin. Pele refers to the essence of Meichin. As I mentioned before, when a person goes into Meichin and he's totally removed of his whole mitzias. Adarabi, he gets elevated out of himself to get into the subject that he's thinking about, and he gets so absorbed by it that you're mamish like in a trance, away from who you are. So the same thing, L'mayla by the Eibush, the darga of Meichin is the level of Holocaust that's removed of any ashpa into the world. Bizu, das ist verbunden mit Keser, and then Pella refers to Keser, bis Pnimis HaKeser, more specifically it refers to Pnimis HaKeser, Mufla, the Nivgul, the Gamri Me'olam. Totally separated and removed from anything that's going on in the world, and all of this will be revealed openly for our eyes to see when Mashiach comes. We'll physically be able to see all of these levels when Mashiach comes without any effort. It'll be open for us to see the greatest Pella.
Simultaneously?
Simultaneously? What's the pshat simultaneously? All the different levels? Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, it's all one out. Different tukufis. Oh, that's a good. That maybe we'll see soon in the sikha. Different tukufis about. Okay.
But it's sad now because they avoid the whole historicals. You have to know it level by level.
Today in Golas time.
Now.
Golas time. Yep. The Yudua. So now here the Rebbe starts with explaining our Aveda now today. So it's known as Itzter is the Ikar Aveda and Birir Sheva Midis Kibush Sheva Rotzes. Our Aveda today, we are able to serve the Eibishter on the level of our Midis, to develop a feeling of Avos Hashem, a Yiras Hashem, to take our Midis and connect it to Hashem. On in Meichin HaShayachim Midis, also learning and understanding and using what we understand to develop our feelings to connect to Hashem. That's our Aveda today. When Mashiach comes, it'll be a different kind of Aveda, an Aveda of Meichin. What does Meichin Mitzadatzma mean? When a person goes out of his Mitzias. Everything we do today, whether you realize this or not, when you learn an Indian, you learn something in Chassidus or whatever it is that you learn, we immediately absorb and interpret everything that we learn in our own Mitzias. Everyone has their preconceived notions. Everyone has the way they're wired and their outlook at life. And when you learn something, so of course you try to open yourself up to Torah, and the Torah enlightens you. However, we're not able to completely strip away our entire mitzias and take in the words of Torah with the purity that we should totally get absorbed in Torah and lose our mitzias completely. That's not possible today. That's not our Aveda. Well, however, what is demanded from us and what we can do and what we're empowered to do is to take the Kayach of Torah and learn Torah and at least apply the Torah and bring it at least into our Metzias, that the way we relate to Torah. That's the Aved of Midas. But when Mashiach comes, we'll have the Torah to totally put aside and annul our own Metzias and to allow ourselves to be opened completely to the message and to the Gilui of Torah, that without any trace of self involved in this. That's Etzem HaMeichin. Kibush shalish haratzos keni knizik admeni. So this is the famous thing that the Mittler Rebbe speaks about in the Maimer. This is why when Yidden entered Eretz Yisrael the first time, so they only conquered 7 of the nations, which corresponds to the 7 midas. But the other 3 nations, which correspond also to the Moichin, that they couldn't conquer, which is this level of Aveda, to totally be Mevatla your Metzias. It's an Ever Hayarden, right? The portions that they got there in Ever Hayarden, interesting. It's taka, there is taka one day that some of that portion that they got is shaykh a little bit to Keni Knizik Kadmaini. But even according to that opinion, it was incomplete though. First of all, it was only temporary. It was only for those shvatim, and it wasn't long term. When the Yidden came back to Eretz Yisrael by Bayis Sheni, that wasn't included. Even when they had it, they didn't have the full halacha of Eretz Yisrael. It didn't get the real kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, only regarding certain halachas, midrabanan, even shmiti, you're not chayav there minatayre. So it didn't become part of Eretz Yisrael. When Mashiach comes, even those areas are going to be conquered and be part of Eretz Yisrael. That was the original promise of the Eibishter to Avraham Avinu. So that's the higher level. Let's take a look quickly in Order 73. Yeshleimar, we can add to this, Gilui Hagimel Meichen Mitzadatzmam, Bechinas Pele, the lost Lavai, revealing this level of Meichen, which is corresponding to the level of Pele that happens when Mashiach comes. Nase Dafkal Yidei Bir Chachmas Olam. That's when you refine and elevate the Chachmas that exist in the world. Keini Knizi Kadmaini Shalamata. Lamaila Gimel Meichen refers to a very high level of halakos that there is, that's out of our reach. But today, the Meichen that there is Lamaila comes down through many Yeridis, and it actually comes into the Chachmas of the world, the sciences in the world, and all the Chachmas that exist in the world. So by utilizing and elevating those Chachmas in the world, that's the achana, and that brings the revelation of the shaydish of that meichen, which is the gimel meichen lamayla. Al derech shegula nasas dafka yidei gilei aleph shebegoyla. In other words, the point that Rebbe is adding in Order 73 is when you learn inside the Sikha, the Rebbe says the avodah of meichen is not possible b'zman hazeh. But here in the Ha'ara, the Rebbe adds, true, to reach that level of meichen in its source is takanat shaykh b'zman hazeh, but the meichen that we have here in this world, which is the chachmas ha'olam that we see, the chachmas in the world, not even in Torah, b'chlal, the chachmas in the world, and we use that and we elevate it into Torah and b'chlal to serve Hashem. That is the way we prepare for the gili of the meichen lasad lavi, because ultimately the source of the chachmas of the world all comes from this level of meichen. The Rebbe brings about that. We'll learn later in the Sikha. The chachma of Shlomo Melech. Shlomo Melech's Chachma was so great, even greater than the Chachma of Mitzrayim. In Mitzrayim, those years, they were the source of all the Chachmas, all the scientists, and all the Chachamim in the world were all, and so Shlomo Melech was greater than all of them. Okay. Yes. Oh, and a Chanami, you're right. No, so the point is, you're right. To be Mevarer, Chachmas U'Misayim is not a Pashta Veda, and it's not meant for everybody. As the Alter Rebbe Taka says in Tanya, you have to be on a high darga like the Rambam and the Ramban to know how to use it l'shem Shemayim and a Chanami. True. There are different degrees to this. For a person to go and study science and other Chachmas Ha'olam the way the Rambam and the Ramban did, whether it was medicine or other sciences, that's not shaykh for everyone now. But there are definitely certain aspects of Chachmas Ha'olam that everybody can be mevarer. I don't think that Rebbe is trying to say that it's only for individuals that are on the level of the Rambam and the Ramban. But on the darga of the Rambam and the Ramban, that's not going to shaykh to everybody, correct?
That's true. Not everybody can be a doctor. It's 1 out of 100. What about the other 99? So the other 99, they have a shaykhis to it, but you can't say that they really understand medicine.
Yeah, okay. To some extent, it's shaykh to everyone. So let's finish off the Indian to Sifeir. So the revelation of Elokus in the world that happens when Mashiach comes. In addition to the level of revelation, which is the lowest darg of Elokus that's here invested in the world. It's the first level. The revelation of Elokus that's higher than creation. The Eibishter himself will be revealed here in this world. It's not only also here, the essence of the Eibishter is specifically revealed here in this world. All other elements are giluyim. There are various levels of revelation, which on one hand is a revelation, but at the same time, it's a limitation, whatever that level is. In this world where there's a yesh hanivra that the Eibusha created, it's not defined in any specific way. Adarabah, dafki here in this world, we will have the gili of the Eibusha himself when Mashiach comes.
Pella? This is Pella? Or it's...
That's the Pella. And this is Atzmos, Koyach Atzmos.
I was speaking, they were asked before, maybe you can see if I start already in.
And again, the Chacham